Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
this is Gerald Wilson, Jaden Wilson's dad.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Hi. Jaden is in band practice.
Okay.
And so he gave me strict instructions on I needed to
Okay.
be here, but he also mentioned something about recording.
Yes,
Are you
I am. I actually started recording.
okay?
Um, and if everyone, just to make sure I have multiple redundancy when it comes to attendance, because this is a requirement for your grade. Can I request everyone to please type your name in the chat and just submit it so that I have a copy of it. Your attendance is actually being recorded right now. But just in case, I need a backup.
Dr.
So,
Ramon,
yes,
do we type just first name or first and last?
first and last name, the way it's recorded in Skyward. Because that's how we're gonna be able to know you, and we can cross-check with your name in Skyward for sure. Don't use nicknames because you might have a similar name to someone else. So,
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
you're welcome. Um, I want to honor everyone's time as well as my time for sure. It's 5 o'clock. It's 5:01 actually. So, we're 1 minute over the start time. So let me go ahead and start for everyone's benefit, and I don't want to hold you as more longer than I have to. If everyone can please make sure that they are muted so that I can be able to record the whole session without interruption, and then you can review um, your you can review this later on. That would be great. Okay, let me go ahead and share the screen. Righty. Just to double check, everyone can see my screen, right? Can someone let me know?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So let me move this out of the way. So this is a webinar on science and engineering fair. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I need to make sure that everyone in the whole campus uh, has the same information, um, no matter who your teacher is, because we're doing this as a campus-wide event. Okay. Um, I see a hand up. If you can uh, let me know by you can probably type on the chat, and then I'll um, come back to it later. Okay. Unless it's really, really urgent, then you can let me know. But I'll do the whole presentation, and then we'll have Q&A later on. This will take the whole presentation is probably going to take about, I'm hoping 20 minutes. We'll do it. And then you can ask your questions afterwards. Okay. So we've been doing science fair for a while now here in Hightower High School since I've started here. And um, the whole idea is that we are one of the high schools in the district that actually does science fair as a campus. It's required for all our AAC students who are sitting in science. Okay. Um, So I'd like to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Dr. John Ramon. I teach chemistry at Hightower High School. I've been here in the campus since 2007, and I actually started coordinating for Science Fair since 2007. So on my very first year of teaching. So we've been doing this since, as far as I know, since I've been around and even before. Currently, I am the Hightower High School Campus Science and Engineering Fair Coordinator. So I liaison with with the district with regards to things involving science fair. I'm also the co-chair for the Scientific Review Committee for SEFH, that's connected to University of Houston. This is the regional fair that we plug into. So whoever qualifies out of our campus science fair actually participates in the regional science fair, and you compete with all students here in the Houston area for a chance to qualify for the state science fair and possibly international science fair after that one. Okay, so this is the first step in that process. Let me move on to the next slide. One of the things that I always want to share with the students is why do we do science fair here in Hightower High School? Why do we require all the students? It's because we recognize that really science fair is one of those programs that really benefits students. The whole history, if you go back to the history of science fair, when it started during the time that there was the space race going on, where there was a competition between Russia and the United States on who can send the first man to the moon, or even to outer space. And it just so happened that Russia was the first one who sent a man to outer space. And so they had the realization that the United States was lagging behind when it comes to science and technology. And so they started doing this competition to be able to tap the best and brightest minds in our youth. And so that's the benefit really of doing science and engineering fair, is to build your critical thinking and problem solving skills to spark your creativity and your passion for innovation. It also gives you a solid ground when it comes to academics. There is, and your communication skills is definitely honed, because you are going to be doing presentations in front of people, or in a video in this case. And hopefully that boosts your confidence and spark independence in you, independent thinking, that is. It can also open doors of scholarship opportunities, because there are scholarship opportunities. In fact, if you win a grand award at international fair, that's equivalent to earning like 100,000 K dollars that goes towards your scholarship. You pretty much are set for college. Networking is really a big thing. You're going to be, if you have a passion for science, your competitors now will be your colleagues later on. And it's nice to mingle with them and get to know them at this early age. And there is some recognition attached to it. And lastly, it actually gives you an opportunity to tackle real world problems, because that is what science fair is all about. It's not about coming up with a wow experiment that has nothing to do with solving a real world problem. So what we encourage you to do is think of tackling a problem that you see around you. That's the best type of science fair project that you can ever come up with. Okay? So what are the basics of doing science fair? Well, if you for science fair, you're actually gonna have to present only a year's worth of research. And if you want to compete for the 2026 competition season, which starts in January and lasts all the way up to May, International Science Fair is in May, the projects that you're going to be presenting there are the ones that you should have started this calendar year, January 1st to December 31st of this year. Some of you may have done research in a research institution, for example, that qualifies for competition for science fair. Okay, and if you're one of those, go ahead and reach out and I can help you qualify that research. Of course, you'll have to ask your research mentor if they are willing for you to do the present that your research in science fair. Okay. In terms of proponents means you as researcher, you can do it individually or in a group or in a team. And the maximum members in a team is 3. You cannot do more than 3. And does it need to be all in the same grade level? No, you can actually team up with other grade levels. I've had some students who have siblings who are in a different grade level. They actually teamed up with them. The only caveat there is that you can only limit 9 to 12 grade. And for middle school, it's a different category. Okay? And the last important thing to remember, and this is why we do this webinar, is there is a formal approval process for your project. Your project can't be just something that you concocted and no one looked at it, no one approved it. And the approval process, the main reason for the approval process is for safety purposes. We don't want you to come up with an experiment and then find out that it caused you harm or others harm. So the approval process takes care of that. There are a lot of people who are going to be looking into your project and making sure that you took care of all the safety concerns surrounding your project. Okay. Now, I mentioned this already at a glance. This is the summary of what the whole process is going to be. It's required for all students. I mentioned this already. For those who are sitting in an AAC science course. The deadline for all entries, meaning all projects that are going to be competing, and every one of you is actually part of that, is on the 12th of December, 2025. That's actually the Friday before finals. Now, then the submission is gonna be per project. It's not per student. So if you're working as a team of 2 or 3, you only need to submit 1. One of you will have to designate themselves as the team leader, and the team leader is the one who's going to submit the project. Everyone gets credit for it. Okay? What are you required to submit for your project? Well, there's 3 main things. A narrated PowerPoint presentation. That's a video, actually. You're going to record yourself. An official abstract and a quad chart. So those are the 3 things you need to submit in order for your project to be judged. Judging will happen over the winter break. It's asynchronous. That means we're not doing it face-to-face. It's going to be online, and it's going to be at the leisure of the judge who is going to be looking at your project. Now, in terms of grade, the whole project is going to be equal to a major grade that's going to post in the third 9 weeks. Okay, so it's going to be an SEF project. It's going to, again, count as a major grade in the third 9 weeks. So if you don't do a project or if you fail to submit a project, it's going to count as a 0 in the major grade in the third 9 weeks. Okay? Now, this is the timeline. I did it from September all the way to January because that's the timeline that that we have. We are now doing the webinar, okay? And after this webinar, there will be a quiz that's gonna be available to you by tomorrow. The quiz is pretty simple. It's actually gonna contain questions that were covered in the webinar. And so if you did not attend the webinar, of course, you're hearing me right now, then that means you're attending the webinar, but those who did not will not be able to answer the questions, okay? In fact, it's not gonna be available to them. What's next after the quiz? Then you need to do a project proposal. Okay, that's going to be next Friday, and then come up with a research plan. That's the Friday after that, 2 Fridays from now. And then you're going to start logging into STEM Wizard, fill all the information there, and then start your experimentation, hopefully between October and November. Okay, after your project gets approved, and the approval is in STEM Wizard. And by the end of November, on the 30th of November, the expectation is that you're done with experimentation. That means you've gathered all of your data, and then you're just processing it, analyzing it, so that by the 12th, this is the first Friday of December, you should be completing your STEM Wizard milestones, and I'll show you what that is in a minute, okay? So that by the 12th of December, you have already done all of your required things to submit, the narrated PowerPoint presentation, official abstract, and quad chart, so that by winter break, you're ready, your project is ready to be judged. Now, what happens after that? Phase 1 judging is the one that you're all participating in. That's the asynchronous judging. I'll show you how that looks like in one of the slides. But when you come back, whoever has good projects and your teacher recommends you to qualify for the campus level science fair, you will then be expected when you come back to come up with a poster board, and then you're going to be competing in the campus level science fair in the library on the second Friday of the third term, which is on the 16th of January, okay? And that's going to be a whole day event. So that's a face-to-face, you actually presenting your project live. That's not webinar style, okay? And then if you qualify there, then you get to compete in higher levels like regional fair, state fair, and international fair. So there's 3 more levels after, okay? All right, so that's the whole timeline. Let me go into some of the details of that one, okay? What are the different platforms that we're going to be using? And as I discuss the platforms, try to think about the deadlines and what is each platform. What can you see from each platform? The main platform that we are using is Schoology. Every one of you, the mere fact that you're actually logged on here, this call, that means that you are already enrolled in Schoology. Okay, what do you see in Schoology? This is your main SEF portal. When I say SEF, that means Science and Engineering Fair. All the general instructions are going to be there. The timeline is going to be there. You should be familiar with this timeline already, and the due dates. You might not be familiar with all the items there, but it's there. Okay, when things are due, and when do you need to submit certain things, what do you need to submit. Each of these is actually going to be clickable so that it goes into a folder that has more details. I know right now that you don't see much there. because I've had them hidden, but I'm gonna make them available to you as we go along, because I don't want you to be for you to see everything and then get so stressed out because you see so much. Okay. You can also follow and keep track of your grades there. Okay. That is where you're going to see your grade for science fair. It's not going to be in the web page for your teacher. It's going to be in HHS Science Fair Schoology page. You will also be able to see the main things that you're going to be submitting there are the HHS workshop quiz. You'll see the quiz there, the project proposal, the research plan, and the SEF rules tour, and the HHS SEF registration. Those 4 things you do in Schoology. Okay. The next portal or platform that we're going to be using is STEM Wizard. Now, STEM Wizard is a Fort Bend web page. This is where you're going to register your project and officially submit it for approval. So this is the platform you use so that we can approve your project. We don't do it in Schoology, we do it in STEM Wizard. Everyone is going to get registered to this at the appropriate time. There are the way it looks like when you register as a student is this. Okay, the red dots here, those are called milestones, and at appropriate dates like November 1st, December, January, by those dates, you have to have completed those milestones. You know you've completed the milestone if that dot becomes a green. Now, having said that, we're actually going to be doing it way ahead of time. Our timeline is actually ahead of the due date in STEM Wizard because this is a district deadline. This is not a campus deadline. Our campus deadline is earlier than that. Okay, so we're actually going to get you registered in STEM Wizard before October. And you're going to complete the first 2 milestones here, which is the project information and personal information. Okay. And then afterwards, you're going to get to download the files and forms. All these files and forms are actually going to be the forms that you need to fill up and then re-upload. And then your teacher is going to be able to look at what you submitted, and then they can approve it, or they can ask for modifications before you get approved. Okay? And then after the 3rd milestone, when you get approval from your teacher, that is when you can start doing the experiment. You cannot start the experiment until this files and forms is green. Okay? While it's red, you cannot technically start your research yet. Okay? This will go until December, and then by the time you get to December, then you can complete the last 3. Okay, so that's what STEM Wizard is for. Now, how do we do phase 1 judging? We're gonna be using a Google Sites webpage for this. Okay, so in December, when you submit your 3 requirements, the narrated PowerPoint, the abstract, and the quad chart, it's gonna end up in a web page like this. Okay, that's on the right side. You're gonna be assigned a project number. Your video is actually gonna be posted there, and with a project number, and your abstract and your category and your quad chart is also gonna be posted there. And at the bottom, you see there's a judge form. Judges will be able to go to your project, view your video, look at your quad chart and abstract, and then give you a rating. Okay? Now, that's gonna happen throughout the winter break. You, as a student, should also judge some of your classmates' projects. In fact, you are gonna be required to judge at minimum of 10. Okay? And that is gonna be equivalent to a grade. Okay? This is what's gonna determine who qualifies for the campus level science fair, which is what is called phase 2 judging. Okay, so this is what is gonna be the basis for that. And then the last platform that I want to share with you is sefhouston.org. This is the official website of the Science and Engineering Fair of Houston, which is the regional science fair we qualify into. If you are chosen from the campus level to participate in the district level, you automatically move up to the regional fair. Okay, so definitely you're going to participate in the regional fair once you are able to, your project is selected from the campus level science fair. Okay, now, everyone is probably interested in waiting and so eager to find out how are you going to get graded. This is the grading process. Okay, I also did this by timeline because what you need to understand is that you are actually earning points already. As you work the different parts of and meet the different deadlines in doing your project, you don't do the project and then think that when you submit it at the end, you still can earn 100 points. If you did not meet the deadlines throughout the timeline, you're actually losing points. Okay? Just a point in case. In August, we actually ask everyone to register in HHS Science Fair. The fact that you're here, that means you're registered in HHS Science Fair because the link is only posted there, right? You've actually earned 5 points already towards your major grade. You're attending right now the webinar, and by the time you finish the quiz on Friday, that's another 5 points. So that's 10-point major grade points. When you submit your project proposal next Friday, that's 5 points. When you submit your research plan, that's another 5 points. And then when you register for STEM Wizard, that's another 5 points. Okay, so by the time you register for for STEM Wizard, you've earned already 25 points. The yellow color here are individual grades. Okay, I need you to be aware of that. Individual grades. By the time you get into STEM Wizard, that is when you're officially going to declare that you're going to be working as a team. And you're going to link your account in STEM Wizard. And at that point onwards, your grade is actually going to be as a group. Of course, if you're working as an individual, you're going to continue earning the point individually, right? But as a group, those are the blue items here, okay? When you submit milestone 3, the files and forms in STEM Wizard, that's 5 points. When you get your approval, that is, okay, that's 5 points. And then you do your research, October, November. By December, when you finish your research and then you complete all the rest of the milestones, that's another 5 points. Okay, so if I can backtrack, these milestones, by the time you get to the third one is 5 points as a team. By the time you finish the sixth one here, all the way through, that's another 5 points for the team. Okay, so that's what we're saying here. As long as that turns green, you earn your 5 points. Okay, now when you submit the 3 required things for you to submit, that's the next 5 points. Okay, and then during the winter break, you're gonna be doing asynchronous judging. Remember, I told you you're required to look at view 10 projects. That is what's gonna earn you 10 points. Okay, and that would be individual again. That's why this is yellow. Okay, so over the winter break, you're doing you're judging, and you can earn 10 points as long as you've judged at least 10 projects. Okay, so if you total all of those, yellow and the blue, the 3 blues that I gave you, that's already a total of 50 points. Okay, so where is the other 50 points gonna come from? That is where your submitted stuff is gonna be graded. Okay, so your narrated PowerPoint video, your official abstract, the quad chart, and then the last one is actually at the end, your teacher may require you to do a project, a formal report, or submit your journal, because you should be tracking what you're doing throughout the year. Or they may ask you to write a one-page technical report on what you learned. Whatever your teacher requires, that's going to earn you some points. So in terms of breakdown of the 50 points, the narrated PowerPoint presentation is 20 points. The official abstract, quad chart, and the journal is 10 points each. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the points. Now, if you qualify to the campus level, that means you're going to phase 2 judging. Or if you qualify to that, once you qualify to the campus level, you actually earn a bonus 10 points. Okay, and that's the purple points there. If you qualify for SAFH, Science and Engineering Fair, Regional Fair, that's another 10 points. If you qualify for the State Science Fair, that's another 10 points. And if you qualify for the International Fair, that's another 10 points. And I'll leave it up to your teacher on how he or she wants to give you credit for that. If it goes beyond 100, maybe you can use those points as extra points towards your other major grade. Okay, so I hope that's clear to everyone, the grading. Okay, I've said a lot. What's up? Okay, what's up next? I definitely recognize that one webinar is actually not gonna be enough to digest everything, and you don't really need all the details at this point. So we're breaking it down into a series of webinars. Just be aware, this is the only required webinar for you to attend, okay? The other webinars are optional, but I'm hosting it at the appropriate time because I know the deadline for those things are coming up, and I don't want you to, I want to provide you with enough information and walk you through the process so that you're not left wondering, how do I do this submission or something like that, okay? So these are the upcoming webinars. We're in September right now, okay? Some of the information, I'm actually just doing video tutorials. So at any time, you can just, these are all going to be housed, the video tutorials are going to be housed in Schoology. You can just go there and look at, okay, how do you actually do a project proposal? So you can go there and view that. It's going to be available on Friday. How do you come up with a research plan? Or what's the most important thing to remember about the research plan? Okay, what are the different parts of it? I have a video tutorial for that. How do you register for STEM Wizard? I have a video tutorial for that. Okay. And then on the 1st of October, I'm going to do an actual webinar on STEM Wizard. And those of you who wants to log on, who are having difficulty, who wants some help, that can also serve as a as an open lab so that I can walk you through the process if you're having challenges, okay? I'll also discuss there the project approval form and how to fill them up, okay? Because it can be daunting and challenging because there's a lot of forms to fill up. Then there's also going to be video tutorials to be posted at that point. That tackles what are laboratory techniques, how do you analyze your data, how do you make sure that how do you make sure that the data you're getting is reliable, and so on. Okay, so those gonna be coming in the form of a video. On November, the webinars are gonna be how to come up with a narrated PowerPoint presentation, because at this point, you should have been starting your research already, and now you're thinking about how do you do your presentation, because it's a month to go, okay? Because your narrated PowerPoint presentation, your abstract, and your quad chart are due a month after, in December. So I'm doing it in November so that you have the information in your hand anytime you can be able to, you're ready, okay? To work on it, okay? Especially the abstract, a lot of students don't know how to come up with an abstract. So that's why I'm doing a webinar on that. And then in December, I'm going to be doing a how to do a phase 1 judging, because remember, you're going to have to do that during winter break. And then I have some video tutorials for the other stuff. And then in January, for those who qualify for the phase 2 judging, I'm going to do a webinar on poster board and how to come up with an effective poster board at that point. Okay, so those are the webinars coming up. Okay, so just some frequently asked questions, and then I'll open it up for additional questions that I might not have covered. Again, how many can work in a team? Maximum of 3. I mentioned that already. Can I work with a student or a friend of mine who has a different teacher? Okay, this is a teacher discretion question. You have to ask your teacher if they are willing to allow you to work with a student who is not their student. If you are my student, I do allow my students to work with other teachers' students, provided that other teacher's student allows their student to work with mine. Okay, so it's teacher discretion. So it's a yes, but it's qualified yes. So I hope that addresses your concern. Do I need to limit my research on chemistry, physics, biology? No. As long as it's a solid problem that you can be able to address, design an experiment, and do a research on, gather data, and analyze the data, it should be okay. I've had students who have done a research project on what's the best technique for doing a pirouette because the student is in dance. I've had a student who did a research on the ability of students to be able to distinguish pitch and note because the student is in choir. Okay. The best type of projects are the projects that are in line with your passion. And so if you know what you're really, really interested in, try to do a research focused on that. Okay. Can I use Science Buddies? Because this is a popular website, I mentioned it. Yes, but there are actually a lot of good alternatives to Science Buddies. And if you're interested in one, you can actually use, I do have a seminar that I'm going to be conducting this Saturday. And if I'm able to successfully do that, I'm going to post a video of it on next week. And it's all about using AI and AI tools like ChatGPT, Space for coming up with very good research topics and how to effectively use AI in your research. Okay, so that's coming up. Can my parent or guardian be my adult sponsor? You need to have an adult sponsor that is very familiar with the ins and outs of the paperwork. And that is the reason why we require you to actually choose your teacher as your adult sponsor. The adult sponsor is going to be someone who's looking at and approving your project, and that would be your teacher. STEM Wizard, okay? Do we need to all use it? Yes, because that's the approval system that we have. Sorry, that's a typo. It's no longer Scienteer. That was the previous iteration that we used. It's now STEM Wizard. What websites can I use? Well, for one, make sure that you go to Schoology for information. SEF